This is FE Peer Review. The date is March the 21st, 2025. Timegate Moments has it wrong about Southern Hemisphere flight paths on a flat Earth. Timegate Moments is a new flat earther in my radar. I had not been aware of him until today. Simon Dan did a little video about him. Thank you, Mr. Dan. I always enjoy your videos. I wanted to do a little response to Timegate Moments as well. For a start, he's got a basic misconception about the meaning of level. So I did leave him a comment on that subject here, and Mr. Timegate, I hope you will take the time to think about some of what I put in that comment. However, that's not the bulk of my video today. The video I'm leaving you today has to do with the conversation you got into in another comment string with somebody named Lisa. She referred you to Qantas flights 63 and 64 that go between Sydney and Johannesburg. And I saw from some of the things you said that I don't think you understood why she was bringing those flights up. And I know how it is. Sometimes words alone can be confusing. So I left you a comment as well. This is with respect to your conversation with Lisa. I'm going to make a video response for you showing you some important information you need to consider. I'm doing a video because my response will be much more clear and easy to understand if I can share pictures with you. So that's what we're going to do here, Mr. Timegate. Excuse me, I don't know your name, so I'm just going to call you Mr. Timegate. I hope you don't mind. On the subject of these flights between Sydney and Johannesburg, you seem to think that it was necessary to fly through other locations and make a flight change. Well, the flight QF63 from Qantas is a direct non-stop flight from Sydney to Johannesburg. And in fact, as I started working on this video, there was a flight still in the air. It has since landed, but it's just very fresh. It just landed half an hour ago. And the total flight time for that flight, starting in Sydney and ending in Johannesburg, was 13 hours and 55 minutes. I'm going to round that up to 14 hours for my purposes, just to keep things neat and easy. This picture down here shows the path that that flight took from Sydney at the right to Johannesburg at the left. And as you can see, it flew southwest, this Antarctica down here. It flew down in the direction of Antarctica, then turned and gradually moved northwest up to Johannesburg. That's the flight the path that it actually took, and it took about 14 hours to do it. You seem to have found it necessary to go through some other city, and so looking at the Gleason map, I found that Dubai was ideally located, and Dubai is a great flight hub for Emirates Airlines. So let's take a look and see how you would fly from Sydney to Johannesburg if you were flying on the straightest path possible on a flat Earth, which would happen to take you pretty much right over to Dubai. So we're going to start in Sydney. We're going to fly non-stop to Dubai. That flight takes 14 hours and 20 minutes. And then in Dubai, we're going to change planes and we're going to fly non-stop to Johannesburg. That flight takes you 8 hours and 10 minutes. So the two flights combined take 14 hours and 8 hours. That's 22 hours and 30 minutes total. We've made a note of that. So Dubai, Sydney, Dubai, Johannesburg was 22 hours and 30 minutes. And the FlightAware website gave us the Qantas 63 flight in 13 hours and 55 minutes. I'm going to call that 14 hours. Let's take a look at those two flight paths on a Gleason map. I've got this nice high-resolution copy of the Gleason map. It's one of the more popular flat Earth maps. If this is not the map you use, Mr. Timegate, then please share with me the map that you do use. We need a map in order to analyze things. And I know some flat earthers prefer to have no map, but that just simply doesn't work when you want to go from one place to another. So I'm going to use this map. It is the one that I think you have in mind because you said you needed to go change planes in order to make the trip. So Sydney is at the left end over here of this red line. That's Sydney right at the end of the red line. And Johannesburg is on the right side at the other end of the red line. And if you look a little bit to the right of center, I'm circling the mouse. You can see that, I hope. I've made a little joint in the lines. That's Dubai. So our Emirates flight would go from Sydney in a straight line to Dubai, 14 hours and 20 minutes. And then you'd have another 8 hours and 10 minutes to get you to Johannesburg. a total of 22 hours and 30 minutes, straight line across the flat Earth. The Qantas 63 flight took off from Sydney and it went in the direction of Antarctica, southwest, came all the way around and then northwest back into Johannesburg. So that's this green line that you see here. And that flight took 14 hours. A much longer path, and it took 6 hours and 30 minutes less time. 14 hours instead of 22 hours and 30 minutes. That is an interesting problem that you face with your flat Earth map here, Mr. Timegate, and it's one that I'm hoping you will take a little time to sort out yourself. I do believe that doing one's own research is a good thing. I personally have no problem with trusting research done by others under most situations. But yes, doing it yourself is good. Now, I've heard you say a bunch of things in your video that were almost verbatim what other flat earthers say, in particular people like Eric Dubé, and that concerns me. It makes me think you're repeating what they're saying rather than thinking through the issues yourself. So I'm hoping you will actually take this information I'm sharing with you today, think it through yourself, do your own research, go back and look at the websites I'm looking at. Go to the Emirates Airlines website and look at their flights. Find out what kind of plane they use. Find out how fast that plane travels. Go to the FlightAware website and look at some other Qantas flights. Do it yourself. Please do it yourself and check what I'm showing you so that you know that this is correct. So the first problem you're facing here is that your straight path on your flat Earth takes longer than the quite significantly curved path. That's something you're going to need to sort out here. I want to do something else now. I want to bring up a calculator, and we're going to look at some of those distances on Google Earth. Bring up Google Earth. Okay, I've brought up Google Earth here, and we're going to look at some distances. I've set a pin at Sydney here. I've also set pins in Johannesburg and Dubai. And we're going to take our distances in kilometers. Let's get the distance from Sydney to Johannesburg based on Google Earth here. Gives us a distance of 11,061 kilometers. So Sydney to Johannesburg, 11,061 kilometers. 11,061. And let's see how long that took on the airplane. It was 11,061 and the flight time was 14 hours. Divide that by 14. We get 790 kilometers an hour. So the flight from Sydney to Johannesburg nonstop on Qantas, that was actually flying at the time I started making this video, was flying at 790 kilometers an hour. Now let's take a look at the distances between Sydney and Dubai. We get 12,044 kilometers. Bring up my calculator. 12,044, and then we're going to add to that the distance from Dubai to Johannesburg. $63.95. So that's plus $63.95. So that's a total of 18,439 kilometers, and that took 22 hours and 30 minutes when we looked at the Emirates flights. So that would be 820 kilometers per hour. 820. So we see that in terms of the distances and the flight times, they're both pretty consistent there. That suggests that these distances are more likely correct. We're seeing that the airplanes are flying at 790 on average from Sydney to Johannesburg direct. And if you were to fly all the way up to Dubai and then all the way back down to Johannesburg, you'd be flying at roughly the same speed, but a lot longer distance. Let's see what this looks like from a zoom out here. So there's Johannesburg. Dubai is up there. And then from Dubai, you'd be going all the way back down to Sydney. So time and distance and actual flight information taken from the airlines is all consistent on a globe Earth. But when you put it on the flat Earth, you end up with a big discrepancy. Mr. Timegate, I want you to sort that out. I hope you can take a look at this and leave me a comment and let me know what you find. Well, that pretty much wraps it up here, Mr. Timegate Moments. You've got a little bit of homework to do there if you're interested to do some research on your own. You've got times and speeds and distances between 3 cities. You've got flight information from 2 different airlines to look at. These can all be checked against each other. If you do that, you're going to find that the numbers are very consistent with a globe Earth, and the numbers are very inconsistent with a flat Earth. I would encourage you to sort through those issues systematically and take with a little grain of salt things said by people like Eric Dubay. You don't know Eric Dubay. You don't know Nathan Oakley and whoever else it is you're listening to, Mark Sargent, the rest of them. You don't know these people personally. You don't know what goes on in their heads. Of course, you don't know what goes on in mine either. And that's the importance of doing the research yourself and listening to many other people, getting feedback from many other people. I'm leaving you all with an image here. This is the great artist David Macaulay, author of books such as Pyramid and Cathedral. And this is a little essay by him, a little pictorial essay by him on the subject of the vanishing point. Hope you all have a great day. I hope you found this video worth your time. I look forward to your comments. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, I'm always open to new subscribers. Bye-bye.